everybody, Coach Brianna here for another weight loss journey update. And let me tell you, this week we're talking all about the struggles because they have been very, very real. This is the not so fun side of weight loss, and that is when you kind of hit a blip and it doesn't start going the way that you planned, or it stops going the way that you planned. And this is exactly what I have been experiencing over the last 2 weeks. Despite my best efforts of following my numbers, my macros, and even having my calories docked by my coach, yet again, I'm down to an average of about 1750 now, as opposed to the 1850 that I initially started with when my cut began on January 24th. So my calories, my macros are changing. I'm doing everything right as it appears on paper, and yet currently what I'm dealing with is not the scale going down, but the scale going in the opposite direction. Why is that happening? Well, there's a handful of things here at play, and let me tell you a little bit about what's going on and what I'm doing about it. Over the last 2 weekends, I noticed that I started to have some major gut health issues, let's call them, that happened to be triggered in conjunction with when my husband and I have gone out to dinner. We typically go out to eat once a weekend, and it depends on the day where we're going, things like that. And in the case of these last 2 weekends, both places, both choices that I have made, and these I have to take 100% responsibility for the food choices that I've made, because could I have found better options at both places we were at? Yes, absolutely, I could have. But because it was high carb day, and on one instance, it was the first time I had really eaten that day, we ended up at brunch at a bar somewhere, I kind of just ordered what I wanted and then did with that what I will. So the first weekend we went out, and it was, like I said, it was brunch, and I had only had about 200 calories of food before we ended up at this restaurant and sitting down to my first meal of the day. So I ordered a specialty thing, because when we go to new restaurants, I like to order like something that's like what they're known for, right? Like a local specialty to that restaurant. And so I ordered, because we were there at brunch, I ordered their like breakfast burrito thing. And you could actually get an option of having it stuffed with sausage or with rotisserie chicken. So I ended up with this big honkin' burrito that had probably the equivalent of at least 3 eggs in it, as well as a generous serving of chicken, all stuffed with like these Gouda hash browns, they were called, some corn salsa, wrapped in a burrito. Burritos are big stinking things, right? And then served with a side of freshly fried tortilla chips. Was it the healthiest choice I made? No. Was it super exciting? Yes, it was. I took about 2 bites of that burrito and immediately went, there is absolutely no way on planet Earth that I'm going to be able to conquer this burrito and feel good while doing it. So I made the choice then and there to open up the burrito, open the tortilla, and exclusively consume the filling of the tortilla, leaving behind the freshly fried tortilla chips and the tortilla that my burrito was wrapped in itself. I felt pretty positive about that choice, because if I looked at what I was consuming, it was, like I said, chicken and eggs, and yes, some Gouda hash browns, but I was like, that's a hefty dose of protein. Yes, there's some carb, and yes, there's quite obviously some fat involved here. But I felt pretty good about it, and I left, like, my plate was still full of food that I had left behind because it was just the fried tortilla stuff, right? And so I felt pretty good about it, but a couple hours later, I still felt full. Like, not, you're just not hungry full, but like, you know that full where like it sits in your stomach right under your rib cage and doesn't go away? I felt that kind of full. And then Sunday, the day after, I continued to feel that kind of full. And I could tell that something was off, and like, it was like, I wasn't digesting it. It had clearly triggered something in me. So I took steps necessary to kind of reset my system, so to speak. And what I ended up doing was having Fab 4 smoothies for breakfast every morning that week. The Fab 4 smoothie is something coined by nutritionist Kelly LeVeque. I cannot take credit for it, and I'm certain I've probably talked about it in one of these videos before. But Kelly LeVeque, author of the book Body Love, coined this Fab 4 and the Fab 4 smoothie. And the Fab 4 are protein, fat, fiber, and greens. And the Fab 4 smoothie, this is like super concise, is a way to get all of those things prettily packaged into a convenient on-the-go way to drink it. And it delivers all of the nutrients your body needs for blood sugar balance and satiety and all of those things. So the result of me drinking Fab 4 smoothies, I think after about 3 days of it, I dropped 1.6 pounds on the scale. Like, it was solid. I felt awesome. Good week for Brianna, way to go. And then the weekend rolled around again, and this time we went out on Friday. And again, all week, beautifully on plan, meeting my macros, all the things. And Friday rolls around and we go to 2 different restaurants to try to get into them and can't, because apparently everybody goes out around here on Friday nights and there are too many people. I don't know. But we ended up at a place called the Crooked Pint. There are a handful of locations in the Minneapolis area, and it's delicious food. You go there for bar food. Burgers, poutine, Juicy Lucy's, which are a type of burger, and all of those things, right? So knowing that I was at a burger joint and I haven't had a burger in a long time, and I haven't had a Juicy Lucy since like we lived downtown, I opted to get the Juicy Lucy on the pretzel bun. A Juicy Lucy is a burger patty that is stuffed with cheese, by the way. Yes, it is. And the loaded tot, not the loaded tots, the stuffed tots that came with it. Big old tater tots that had cheese and onions and something a little bit spicy, all and bacon, all in the tater tot. Like, amazing. And then my husband's like, we need to get some poutine. For those of you who don't know what poutine is, it is French fries, cheese curds, gravy, bacon. Yeah. Super heavy, right? But both my husband and I, and we are not heavy eaters like that. So both my husband and I, we ate a little bit. We probably each ate a quarter of the serving of the poutine, and I only ate half of my burger and 3 of the 6 tots that were presented to me. So I literally ate only half of what showed up. And then once again, I had that full feeling. And a long story short, I could tell you about the rest of the weekend. There were some fine choices made, there were some not so fine choices made, but ultimately, what my body used to be really good at shaking off, I used to be really good at what they call the cheat meal. I don't call them cheat meals anymore because I don't believe in cheat meals anymore. But back in the good old days, I firmly believed in cheat meals, and I had one a week. And I was able to bounce back from those really, really quickly. Apparently, I turned 35, and I am no longer able to bounce back from a cheat meal, a treat meal, a night out. I'm not allowed, and mind you, there's not been a sip of alcohol consumed during this. Not a sip. I've sucked with water the whole weekend because I would prefer to eat my calories instead of drink them. So I rarely drink alcohol. So my body is just unhappy with me, right? And then this week, so that was Friday. This week progresses. It's been a week. Today, the day I'm filming this, it has been a week since that incident, and my gut still feels not awesome. Not awesome. A week. So, and to boot, right, the scale went way up at the beginning of this week. I was only down 0.4 from my original weight this week. My original weight. I don't feel good telling you this, but I feel like it is my duty as a coach to tell you the reality of what I am going through. And the reality is that at the beginning of this week, I was up to almost my original weigh-in weight in bloat. Yes, and it felt terrible, and it still feels terrible. Throughout the week, I made some changes. I was like, okay, girl, you gotta rein it in and figure out what the heck is even happening here. And so I've been trying to be much more diligent about getting my steps in, getting my workouts in, which I have admittedly been a little bit lax in. This week, so far, so good. I've managed to do all the workouts I've needed to do this week, and I have been averaging about 11,000 steps a day, which is amazing, and I'm very, very proud of that, and my goal is to continue it through the weekend. I also started taking a digestive enzyme because when my coach looked at my stuff on Monday, my measurements, all of my other measurements were down. Every single one of them were down except for my waist, which tells me there's a lot of bloat hanging out there because it's like my stomach area too, not even like my lower love handle area as I call it, but my upper belly is bloated and irritated. And so between that and my weight and what I told her, my coach is like, all right, we gotta take a step back. We're not changing anything with your macros. We need to help you address these gut health issues. Because my coach is actually going through her very own gut health journey. So she gave me tips, tricks, and products to try. So I started a new digestive enzyme that she has been taking. And I also just today started a new probiotic. And so over the next week, I'm hoping that all of those things combined will sort of help alleviate these issues, right? Now to boot, this one's for my ladies out there, I am in ovulation time in my cycle. And did you know that you can have ovulation symptoms that are very, very similar to PMS symptoms? And I have been getting all of them this week, all of them. One of the very common symptoms for women in ovulation is bloating. So I'm getting hit with a double freaking whammy this week. And I'm just like, I feel fluffy, as I like to call it. My scale, while it did go down this week, I should give myself credit for that. I have been on track enough to get the scale to go down 0.8, which is not nearly as much as I was hoping the bloat would just poof disappear. But knowing that I'm also in ovulation time is making it make sense to me that the scale is not moving quicker and I'm not clearing things out as fast, because I am taking something that made me bloated and I'm pairing it with something else that can make me bloated. And those two things combined are really hindering things right now. So all of my other measurements were down ever so slightly, except my waist, which went up because of issues that aren't actually fat gain. And not a week goes by where I don't find somebody who's flustered because of a gain on the scale that they don't feel like they had earned, that they don't feel like they deserved. And I'm here to tell you that I did not deserve any of this stuff. Well, no, that's not entirely true. I have to take responsibility for the choices I made while eating out. I do have to take responsibility for that. And there's some reality to that too. There are people that will say they don't deserve it, but they might actually deserve it. But there's a lot of factors playing in mine. The food choices is only one of the factors, right? But there's a multitude of other factors happening here. My gut is messed up. Yes. Something is weird. Yes. I'm ovulating. Yes. All of those things paired with one or two poor choices has resulted in something that is more astronomical than what I feel I deserve. Right? And that's okay. The reality is that happens to the best of us. That happens to all of us. Weight fluctuations are normal. And it is okay. It is okay. And all of us will step on the scale and have a gain that we did not deserve. Especially if you are a daily weigher like I am. I weigh in every single day, so I can literally watch the scale do this all week long. And while sometimes it is frustrating, this week I have been very, very frustrated. In my mind though, I know that the big picture is so much more important than just what this week or this last 2 weeks has been on my weight loss journey. I know that the more effort I put into fixing the root of the issue, the more the results are going to come long term. I also have been adapting to my sleep apnea machine, my APAP machine. And while my sleep has been good, it has been very different. And messing around with your sleep, whether it's, even if it's getting better sleep than what you've been getting before, my body is still like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What is this weirdness? I don't know what's happening. So basically, I feel like I'm short-circuiting a little bit. Like, things are just weird right now, and that's okay. My goal in sharing this journey with you is not to just be like, oh, look at how good little Coach Brianna is at losing weight every single update video. I am here to share the real with you. I'm here to share the raw with you. And sometimes weight loss journeys suck. And sometimes they don't go the way that you want them to go. And sometimes it's your fault and your choices, and sometimes it's not. Most of the time, it's a combination of the two. But it is what it is. I'm still here. I'm still optimistic, and I'm still working to do what I can to reach the goals that I want to reach. What are a couple of things that I'm doing in an effort to kind of help mitigate this issue? I'm focused very much on the basics this week. Upping my water intake to help flush things out and any water retention based bloat that might be happening in my body. I am making it a point to actually achieve the desired average of 10,000 steps a day, and my ultimate goal is to get 10,000 steps a day, not one day of 15 and one day of 7. However, I did clock in under. I got like 8,600 steps one day that I was very, very, very tired, and sometimes I have to honor my body with that, especially with chronic illness. So I did that. But everything else, my average this week is still almost 12,000, which is fantastic. And my goal is to keep it up through the weekend. The more you move, the more calories you burn, and the more it allows your gut to just kind of, everything just kind of shakes out, right? You lose a little bit of that water retention, you lose all the things. Movement is good. Walking is great. It is the most underrated thing in weight loss, I think, personally. So I'm stepping, and I'm drinking water, and I'm focusing on more whole food based things and less processed things. I have been actively putting effort into prepping a meal in the kitchen 3 times a day, or if I make it in advance so I don't have to prep it. But it's less about, let me pull out a frozen meal, let me pull out this already made protein shake. And instead, if I want a protein shake or a smoothie, I will make my own with the more whole food based components and everything, just to try and give myself the nourishment that it needs, the whole grains, the vegetables, the fruits, all of it. That is what I'm focused on. And then of course I am focused on sleep as well. I'm focused on sleep because that is currently the thing that is new to me. Changing up my sleep routine by adding this APAP machine has just been weird and awesome, but also weird, and I'm not used to it yet. So focusing on sleep and sleep hygiene and nighttime routines and all of that. So those are the basic things that I have been focused on this week to kind of help me through this difficult time in conjunction with taking the new probiotic, taking digestive enzymes with every meal, and being more diligent about some of my food choices. It's true. It's true. Are there times that I could make better choices? Yes. And I'm actively working on that this week, and so far so good. And I do have 0.8 loss to show for it this week. Unfortunately, I think that still puts me above where I was last week. So since my last video, I still have a gain, but I lost from Monday to Friday, which is important when you're feeling bloated and feeling blech. It's nice to see some sort of payoff on the scale. So that's all I have for you, my friends. I wish I had a more positive and uplifting update to give you, but sometimes that is just how the cookie crumbles. And like I said, I'm here to share the reality of my journey with you, not some perfectly curated version of a weight loss journey for you. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned because I will be back in 2 more weeks with another update for you and hopefully some different things to talk about. Until then, my friends, take care. Bye.